am Nongcebo Vukile McKenzie, and this is the podcast, Sawubona. Every fortnight, a guest joins us for a conversation or to share a story. It's a pleasure to share these with you and to have you with us. Welcome, Ngiyakwamukela, to another episode of Nongcebo McKenzie, the podcast. We're continuing our series of conversations with the Momentum corporate team as part of their Zenzele series. We talked about savings in a previous episode, and in this episode, we are going to talk about two-pot. Now, the discussion around two-pot will be broken up into two. We'll first talk about two-pot holistically. What is two-pot? How does it work? And then we'll talk about how you interface with your two-pot options in a later episode. So we're joined by Sipho Sibanda. He's the head of employee financial wellness at Momentum Corporate. Sipho, welcome.
Thank you very much, Sis Nongcebo. Thank you for having me here.
So, two-pot. A difficult conversation, because when it came into effect, September 2024, it really got a lot of people confused. What is two-pot? How does it benefit me? A lot of people were scared of two-pot. A lot of people thought it was a once-off thing, so they were rushing because they needed to, really maximize this option that they now have. But let's talk about what two-pot actually is.
Two-pot, Sis Nongcebo, I think we tend to call it the Y2K of employee benefits. Mm-hmm. It was a much-needed reform to assist the members and to retire comfortably, but also at the same time enabling them to access their savings as and when needed. So where it really emanates from is that people used to resign from their employers, from their companies, in order to access their retirement savings, mm-hmm. to go and cover some of the aspects of their life that they wanted to cover financially. Mm-hmm. And because of that, the government thought we need to come up with a reform that will actually allow people to save more for retirement, but at least still having a certain component of money that they can get as and when they need it for essential, things that they actually need. Mm-hmm. And how it is actually set up is that, for someone, that has been working for years, how this thing was set up is that there's going to be two pots. One is a savings pot, and then the other one's a retirement pot.
This is now from your retirement savings.
So I'm talking about the two pot, how it's set up.
Okay.
So the two pot, the way the architecture of these two pots is that there's two pots. One is the retirement pot, mm-hmm. that you cannot touch, mm-hmm. up until retirement age.
Okay.
And then you've got the 1/3, which is your savings pot. Mm-hmm. This is the one that you can at least withdraw from at least once every tax year.
Okay.
Now, how this thing is different for someone that has been working for years, mm-hmm. is that there is also another one, the third pot, which is the vested pot. This is now your accumulated savings, mm-hmm. from when you started contributing. Mm-hmm. That is actually sitting in that particular pot.
Okay.
There on that particular pot, the previous rules can still apply if ever someone reaches that stage where they decided to resign or they change jobs. They can either preserve that amount or they can still have access. So the rules have not kicked into that. But for the new pot, for the new regime, you cannot touch the retirement pot. You can only touch the savings pot. So,
Sipho, taking what you've said now into a practical situation, for somebody who'd been working 10, 15, 20 years by the time two-pot came into effect, and they had some form of retirement savings, what does the coming into effect of two-pot mean for them practically in terms of what they will be able to access come retirement time, as opposed to somebody who just started working on the 1st of September 2024?
So someone that has been working for some time, mm-hmm. What will happen is that come the 1st of September, or what happened is that when 1st of September came,
yes.
There was no longer going to be contributions into that whole vested pot that they had, the money that they accumulated up until the end of August 2024.
Yes.
Come the 1st of September, there's no new money that is going into that particular pot.
All right.
Now, they're starting a new system.
Okay.
The new system, how it went about, was that there was going to be money that was at least 10% that was going to be taken off from the accumulated fund.
Right.
Up to, that is kept at 30,000. That money was going to be moved into the savings pot now to actually start the two-pot journey. And that's how it started. And then the second pot, or which becomes basically probably the third pot, is your retirement pot, which will now start getting new money coming in on your contribution. So every month, let's say you're contributing 900, 300 is going to go into the savings pot.
Right.
600 is now going to go to the retirement pot.
Okay.
But that vested pot, the older pot that you've been contributing towards, is no longer getting any money.
Okay.
That money is now just going to grow at the rate at which investments are going to be growing.
Okay. And it's two-pot because you can touch which pot?
The savings pot.
The savings pot.
Yes.
Okay. And you can touch that how often?
So you can touch that once every tax year. So the new tax year starts on the 1st of March and ends on at the end of Feb the following year.
Okay.
So within that particular period, yes, you can access your savings pot.
Now, the minute you say to me, I can touch it, I hear you saying I must touch it every tax year. It makes me feel like every year I must get this money now because it's there.
No, you don't need to touch that money.
Okay, so it's not compulsory.
No, it's not compulsory.
Okay.
I think it is there when you need it. We actually do not recommend anyone to touch that money. It is not recommended.
Okay.
Because you are saving for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And where you get to use it, it's probably the last resort that you have.
So don't take it for joy.
Don't take it for joy.
Okay.
Don't take it like, oh no, I saw beautiful shoes there. I think, geez, let me just go and take some of that money and go and buy those shoes. No, you don't have to do that. If you don't have to do it, don't do it.
If you don't have to do it, don't do it. Okay. All right. So now, for somebody who then started on the 1st of September, they only have these two pots now.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And what does that mean for them come retirement time?
I think what that really means, this is where the reform becomes very important, is that these people are now having at least these 2/3 that they cannot access. So someone that started working today or from the 1st of September 2024, they only know that type of a structure. They do not know about the structure that says, oh, you can actually leave your employer so that you can access your retirement savings. They only know that there is this savings component which they can access, but they actually don't have to. But they know that at least, in the long term, they will have more money set aside for them when they reach that retirement age.
You mentioned earlier in the conversation that you don't really encourage people to take money from their two-pot, from their savings pot of their two-pot unless they have to. They're pressing matters, school registration fees, unexpected, really, sometimes you just need to find a solution in a tight spot. But as you said, not just nje because it's there. Yes. And it's not compulsory that you take it. That then creates the impression that there's a benefit to not taking money out of your savings pot. Is there?
Actually, there is, because now you're talking about the power of compound interest. So the more money sitting in the same area, that growth you actually get to enjoy. So think about the time value of money. Think about the 1,000 rand that you have or the 10,000 that you want to take today. Let's say you are 21 and you just started working and you think about what that amount of money is going to be in 40 years' time. That is going to be massive, right? So I think you have to think about it from that component to say that money is actually going to grow. It is your money. It is not anyone's money. So leaving it there, it grows with interest. You are not losing. You're actually building for the future, and leaving it there is actually going to be very much beneficial than taking it out.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying is that with every decision that you take with regard to your retirement savings, you need to have a short-term and a long-term view in terms of, okay, this decision that I'm taking about what is available to me and what I can access later, I can't just look at it for the now.
Absolutely. And this is where discipline, financial discipline becomes very important to say, what is it that I really want and then what is it that I really need? I think what you need, you can do something about. But what you want, I think you can always park, because it's a want. It's not something that is important. It's not going to change much around your life. So you can actually park that so that you can really focus on what is important. And that's where discipline becomes very important, just to think about the long term.
Okay. So one of the things that you mentioned earlier on in our discussion was that how you treat your two-part options has an impact for your retirement, or rather on your retirement. What are we striving for when we keep saying that these decisions are good for you long-term with regard to your retirement? What are we striving for come retirement time?
So I think what we're striving for is that we want someone to at least retire comfortably.
Okay.
I'm sure you have seen people or relatives or friends where a parent has reached retirement, and then uyabuza ukuthi ubesebenza ngempela, because things are very difficult.
Yes.
So we want to avoid that. We want to avoid a situation whereby people go and queue for those SASSA monies. We want to avoid a situation for a black tax where suddenly someone is retired, but now they're actually dependent on their families and their kids, which actually put even extra pressure for those particular kids to say now they cannot actually think about themselves.
They can't save as much as they could have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when we talk about these financial matters, it's quite important that you're not only thinking about yourself. You need to actually start thinking about your kids, the next generation, to say, how do I actually cut that burden now so that when it reaches to the stage that I'm retiring, my kids, my relatives don't have to stress about me. I can be able to actually at least live comfortably. I can be able to cover my medical aid. I can at least be able to cover the place where I'm staying, to cover the food, whatever that is essential at that particular stage.
And what's the picture like at the moment in terms of when we look at South Africa and the ability of South Africans to retire comfortably?
It is very sad because we are sitting at only 6% of South Africans that actually can retire comfortably. That's a very sad reality that we're actually living with.
So when you say that, I'm translating it, when you say retire comfortably, we're only sitting at 6% of people who can afford their own housing, afford their own medical care, afford their own food comfortably, afford to do whatever makes them happy and sustains them. We're only sitting at 6%. And those costs are not going to magically evaporate when they retire. They're still going to need some form of accommodation, a house, a home. They're still going to need some form of transport. They're still going to need some form of medical care. So those costs are not just going to evaporate. They're going to be deferred onto someone, somehow.
No, absolutely. I think, you touched on a very important point, that those that have not sort of put money aside or contributed towards retirement, at the correct rate and never took out money, those people are actually able to retire comfortably. Whereas someone that did not do that, it becomes an extra burden, one to the state, two to the families. And that's really can actually go back to the point that I mentioned, that it's end up impacting the rest of the generation to come, because you're actually not setting up that particular generation for success, because they are going to be dependent on you instead of them focusing on themselves.
So given all of that we have talked about, and trying to plan better, trying to make better decisions, trying to retire comfortably, trying to be less of a burden financially, what is the first thing that I need to do if I don't know what to do? If I need to make those better decisions, but I don't know where to start. If I need to just interrogate, am I making the right decision? If I just need to review my documentation, if I need to get an understanding of whether actually what I'm doing is actually setting me up for a better retirement, because I might think I have everything in place. Remember, if you start working and you go to induction and you get told this is the financial services provider that we have, these are the available options, these are your contributions, you sign on the dotted line, you're 25. And then you think, my retirement is taken care of. I'm done. And you sit there and you believe, no, I sorted that out. Even when people ask, and you say, oh no, I'm in the retirement. But you maybe haven't even looked at your documents in 10 years, 15 years. Or if you just honestly do not know, maybe you look at your documents, you maybe don't increase your contributions, maybe you increase them maybe by 5% every year. How do you know? Where do I go? What do I do?
First thing, I'm going to say what you shouldn't do.
Okay.
First of all, ungakhulumi nalo bhuti or noma lo siso ohlangana naye eTexini. Or don't talk to your neighbors about these matters. Don't ask for advice from a colleague or a friend that you've seen. The best thing to do, one, we've got what we call retirement benefit counselors.
Okay.
They're here to actually educate you, give you the factual information, direct you in the right direction. But also we've got financial advisors. It's very important to speak to a financial advisor. A financial advisor is going to sit down with you, take you through a journey, understand your situation, and then customize certain tailored solutions that are basically for you. Because those solutions, your solution that you need and my solution are not going to be the same.
You know why? I like that you say that, because a person might hear you say, don't talk to your neighbor, don't talk to your sister, don't talk to so-and-so. The reason you're saying that is because whatever opinion they have, firstly, is not financial advice, but secondly, it's based on their situation, based on their circumstance, based on their need, based on what they're facing, which is completely different. Whereas a retirement benefit counselor or a financial advisor is able to navigate solutions to your need.
Absolutely. But I need to correct that again.
Okay.
I mean, the retirement benefit counselor will look at the situation as is.
All right.
And give you factual information. Right?
Okay.
But a financial advisor is able to go the extra level and actually understand, do a needs analysis around you and say, Sis Nongcebo, your finances zime kanje.
Yes.
What is it that you want to achieve?
Yes.
For you to achieve this, you need to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Therefore, I recommend that you do this and that. Whereas a benefit counselor cannot tell you what to do.
Okay.
The benefit counselor will educate and you will have to make a decision based on that factual information that has been presented to. So at the end, do not take advice from your neighbors, from your sister, because their situation will likely be very different from yours. It is recommended to speak to an expert around these matters.
So Sipho, as we come to the end of our conversation, I think two important things stood out with regard to two-pot. Obviously not negating the impact that withdrawing has on your retirement, not negating the impact that it has on what your future looks like post-retirement. But two things just with regard to the administration, your administration of your two-pot, is that it was not a once-off thing that was only for September 2024. It comes into effect every tax year. But also that it's not a matter of must. It coming into effect every tax year doesn't mean you need to take that money.
Absolutely, Sis Nongcebo. You don't have to take that money. You, like as I said, unless it is necessary.
Okay.
But I think when you reach a stage where you need to make a decision and you do not know what to do, I'll always recommend, one, speak to your benefit counselor so that they can give you options or educate you. But then, secondly, you need to speak to a financial advisor. That's one I will always recommend. If ever you do not know, speak to a financial advisor. They'll give you the right advice and actually even assist you to resolve some of the issues that you may be dealing with that may have led you to actually end up wanting to withdraw from your savings pot.
Sipho, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Sis Nongcebo. Much appreciated.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the podcast. Remember, you can like the episode and share the podcast link, as well as listen to more episodes on the channel. Subscribe to the channel for more. Siyabonga. Thank you for listening.